Hello beautiful souls, and welcome back to the channel where we walk through pain, process our struggles, and embrace the powerful truth that your setbacks are never the end of your story. They're just the beginning of your comeback. So today's message is born out of real life experiences, moments of personal pain, and ultimately transformation. It's called The Darkest Pages Comes Just Before the Brightest Chapters. For example, in books or movies, we witness a storyline that starts off so beautifully. It starts off calm, almost enchanting, and then comes tragedy. Then comes sadness, betrayals, or fighting. And then towards the end, here comes the hero, the transformation, or like this series is called, the comeback. And so today, I want to speak straight to the soul of someone who's been through a season of darkness, especially the kind of darkness that heartbreak brings. And if that's you, I want you to know you are not alone. And this message is for you. Because you see, we live in a world that can be so beautiful, so amazing and magnificent, but also so brutal. I'm talking about a world that can shift on us in a heartbeat. A world filled with people who can 1 minute be kind, supportive, and warm. Then the next, they're distant, they're cold, and sometimes even cruel. It's disorienting. One day you're celebrated, the next you're criticized or forgotten. One season you're held and honored, and in another you're discarded like a disposable utensil. And yet, I believe deep in my spirit that sometimes God Himself allows these heartbreaks, these betrayals and dark nights, not because He wants to hurt us, but because He wants to awaken us. Sometimes I believe God allows people to mishandle us, not because He's absent, but because He knows we're still learning who we are. And through the pain, we begin to realize our worth. We grow up, we wake up, and eventually we rise. He also knows that the darkness is simply a setup for daybreak. Nature itself reminds us that the darkest part of the night comes right before dawn. And just like that, also the darkest seasons of your life often comes right before the most beautiful breakthroughs. Your pain is not pointless. Your heartbreak is not the finale. It's the passage. It's the page turner that's leading you into a chapter of light, love, and liberation. This message itself, let me tell you, was born during one of the hardest seasons of my own life. So difficult was that season that at times the only solitude and peace I got besides prayer, meditation, and worship came from walking. Just everyday stroll, either through my neighborhood or in the park. And so as I was walking one morning, feeling heavy-hearted, sad, tired, and just emotionally drained, yet having a conversation with God. And through tears in my eyes and pain in my heart, I heard so clearly in my spirit these exact words: the darkest pages come just before the brightest chapters. Yes, I was so sweetly and so gently reminded that the darkest pages of our lives comes just before the brightest chapters, and that it's always darkest right before dawn and daybreak. And even though we know that scientifically speaking that the darkest times of the night is typically around midnight when the sun is below the horizon, however, metaphorically speaking, the saying is often used as an encouragement during times of difficulty and stress. suggesting that improvement is imminent even when things seem bleak and impossible. And the phrase itself is a well-established proverb that has been used for centuries to inspire resilience and optimism, meaning things always seem to get worse before they get better. And even in the worst of circumstances, there is still hope. So here I am today, not just speaking from theory, but from experience. And if you're in the middle of your dark page, grieving a breakup, a job loss, a betrayal, or even the death of someone you love, I want you to lean in, because I promise you, your story doesn't end there. Sometimes God will allow heartbreak for higher healing and transformation. So let's talk about the specific kind of darkness that heartbreak brings. It's the kind of darkness that invades your mind, heart, and your soul. You know, the kind of darkness that causes you to cry into your pillow at night non-stop. You lose your appetite, your sense of direction, and at times you even lose your ability and your willingness to pray. And still, God allows it. Not because He's punishing you, but because He's purging you. He knows you. He knows your tender heart. He knows your forgiving nature, your deep capacity for love. And He also knows that if He doesn't allow certain people to break your heart, you'd never let them go. He also knows that you will keep giving them chances after chances, even if it costs you your peace, your purpose, or even your life. So sometimes He steps back and lets it all play out, not to destroy you, but to deliver you. And just like a seed that's planted deep underground, transformation also takes place in the dark. There's a quote that says, "When the student is ready, the teacher will appear." And let me tell you, sometimes that teacher comes in the form of heartbreak. Sometimes it's in the late night sobs, the lonely mornings, the unanswered texts, the shame, the confusion, and yet that's where growth happens. Because when you're in the thick of it, dysregulated, disoriented, disillusioned, it's hard to see. It's hard to see anything. But later, when you are out of the storm and out of the fog, when your heart starts beating steadily again, when your mind is no longer racing and you're no longer wearing those rose-tinted glasses, you begin to see things clearly. And you'll realize that those painful experiences were actually preparing you for the love and the life that you truly deserve. And trust me on this, you were never meant to stay broken. You are not what happened to you. Yes, maybe you was abandoned. Yes, maybe you was the eldest sibling who suffered the most abuse. Maybe you was the middle or the youngest child who was always overlooked, bullied, and always had to wear hand-me-downs. Hey, maybe at some point, myself included, maybe we were all overlooked, undervalued, betrayed, sometimes manipulated, and the list goes on and on. But through it all, we survived. We're still here, becoming someone wiser, stronger, more whole, and more powerful because of what we've been through. But to become that person, that strong and brave individual, you had to walk through darkness. You had to become like that seed that's planted in the soil, growing in darkness. Its roots had to dig deep in search of water. It had to remain unseen and unheard because it was being prepared to carry weight, to reproduce after its own kind, to shelter life, and to rise with strength. So don't despise your dark season. because it's rooting you. It's building something unshakable and unstoppable inside of you. And when it comes to love and relationship, sometimes it's our impatience that actually drives us into these dark seasons. Because we meet someone new, we're excited and full of butterflies, but yet we don't take the time to truly get to know the person, to allow our roots to grow deep into the relationship. Instead, we rush into things from fear of losing or missing out. And inevitably, we find ourselves settling for shallow love and shallow relationships. I mean, let's be real. Sometimes we fall in love with potential. We get smitten by charisma, with charm. We get swept up in appearances, good looks, status, or money, only to realize later we've been projecting our worth onto someone who didn't deserve it. We look for tables set with riches, but forget to check for integrity, consistency, accountability, emotional intelligence. I'm talking about loyalty and spiritual maturity. We forget to look for those things. And that's how we end up in relationships with people who feel more like children than partners. And trust me, you don't want to be in your 40s, your 50s, or beyond, living like a queen or king, only to be tethered to someone who still acts like a peasant in spirit. No, because you've done so much healing and too much inner work to go backwards. So always remember that real love requires real growth. We're not just looking for superficial companionship. We're looking for substance. We're looking for substance, wholeness, maturity. We're looking for a partnership that stimulates not just our bodies, but the mind, the soul, and the spirit. Ladies, a real man provides more than protection and provision. That's all good. We need that, yes. But a real man also brings peace. A real man brings emotional stability and mental safety. And men, let me tell you, a real woman doesn't only know how to clean house and cook a good meal, which is all good, but also a real woman, she honors your heart. She understands your purpose and builds alongside you, not just in romance and in looks, but also in vision. And I believe we all want someone who matches our healed, whole, and awakened version of ourselves. But first, we have to become that person. And I believe that's what the darkness does. I believe dark seasons are like surgery. It strips us down. It removes our illusions. It forces us to face our trauma, our codependency, our desire for validation, and our fear of being alone. And unlike physical surgery, which comes with anesthesia, this kind of spiritual surgery requires you to be fully awake. Oh yes, this type of spiritual awakening, this type of surgery demands your full attention. But when it's all said and done and the results come in, out emerges a new and improved you. One who is transformed, grounded, and grateful. And like the Apostle Paul, you find yourself saying things like, it was good that I was afflicted. Like, I needed that. Because now we see with different eyes. We love with different hearts. And now we live with intentionality and with purpose. Because, as most of us know, when you've been through enough dark seasons, you stop taking life for granted. You become more discerning with your time, your energy, and your love. And you start to recognize what truly matters. You begin to pay attention to what's truly valuable. Things like peace of mind, restful nights, mutual love, respect, and understanding, safe connections, the need for boundaries, and a future that's aligned with your purpose. And when the dawn breaks, when the light returns, it doesn't just look brighter, it feels sacred. You smell the air, you notice the birds, you feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, and you realize that life is beautiful, not because it's perfect, but because you finally healed enough to appreciate it. So let this be your reminder that a new chapter begins with you, that the darkest pages of your life are not the end of your story. They're the transition into your most radiant, rewarding chapter yet. Because you've endured heartbreak, you've lived through betrayal, abandonment, and confusion, but you didn't quit. You didn't give up on yourself. Instead, you kept going. You kept showing up, and now you're coming back stronger. Not just to survive, but to thrive. Not just to heal, but to help others heal as well. Not just to exist, but to truly live. Yes, wake up and live. You are now walking out of that darkness with wisdom, with grace, and with power. And believe me when I tell you, what's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind you. And your comeback is already underway. So if today you are still in the midst of your dark page, in the midst of your dark season, listen, don't rush through it. Sit with it. Let it teach you, let it shape you, and let it prepare you. Because when the light breaks through, and it will meet a version of you who's ready. Oh yes, it will meet a version of you who's ready for love without losing yourself, ready to live without fear, and ready to give without depletion. Also ready to receive all that God has in store for you. So remember and know that the darkness that you may be walking through right now, or that you've been through, is not there to bury you. It was not sent to bury you, to destroy you. No, no, no. It's here to birth you. It was sent to birth a new mindset, a new standard, a new vision, and a new life. So embrace the process, trust the timing, and keep your eyes on the dawn, because your comeback is not just coming, it's already began. So remember, you are not your darkest page. You are the author of your next brightest chapter. So keep going and trust that your sunrise is near. And as you wait for the closure of this darkness, getting ready to step into the light of your next one, I want to leave you with this question. Do you have the faith to dare to believe that a beautiful chapter is waiting for you? That this dark page is not the end, but only the turning point. Do you have the faith to believe? And if you do, even if it's only the size of a mustard seed, then my friend, that's more than enough. Hey, let's get into agreement and just type amen in the comments. Share your story, your hopes, and your dreams with somebody else, because I can assure you, people do read the comments, and you never know, your story just might be the story of encouragement that someone else needs to read about today. And also, if you know someone who would benefit from anything I've said, please share this video with them, because every comeback story matters. And so, I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. See you next time.